Yeah. Hi, my name is Laurel Dietz from Millennial Legal Coaching. I'm a family law lawyer, and I'm here with Bettina Plendel.
Of financial divorce strategies up in Nanaimo. I'm a financial divorce strategist.
So Bettina and I have been doing a lot of videos lately about hot topics for people who are going through divorce or separation and managing their finances post-separation. And something we were talking about recently was the reality of splitting up now and dealing with the rental market and the housing market.
Yeah, it's insane and it's heartbreaking. We see so many couples, families, individuals getting booted out, literally out of the real estate market, and seeing their chances of getting ever back into it really diminishing. And
so the real struggle, if I can just paint the picture for them, Bettina, is so you have a house, you have like a reasonable mortgage because you bought the house before housing prices went crazy, and you split up. So you've got a lot of equity in the house. So you're in a bit of a bind because if you sell the house, where are you going to go? There isn't that much that you can, rent, but also rents are higher than you're paying for your mortgage. So perhaps you can't even afford the rents. And then if you're going to purchase a new place, you're buying it into the market at this higher rate, and you only have half the equity in your house, not the full equity. So that means a very large
income to qualify for it, right? So
there's qualifying for it. You're right. And then even if you can qualify for it, then actually having to pay it on a monthly basis could be a bit of a challenge if you're also caring for kids and your income is stretched. So I don't know what you've seen, Bettina, but what I've seen is like a lot of times people are wanting to either hold on to the house that they have and buy out their partner if they can. But what is happening more often than not is that one person can do it because maybe they have the higher income, or maybe they have family support, and they have maybe a co-signer for a mortgage, or someone who's able to step in with a big piece of cash that they can help buy the other partner out. So, yes, but where does that leave the other partner?
Yeah. So those are the options, right? If you have the property, you have it appraised, you agree to a value. One says, you know what, I never liked the house, I leave. And the one remaining then tries to drum up the money to buy the other one out. And if there isn't enough income to support the higher mortgage payment, that means the equalization and the mortgage amount, they often seek within their inner circle for investors. They look for family members who can either buy a part of the property or co-sign on the mortgage or get a private loan. People are getting very innovative these days to get the money to keep the house. And there's actually some other options how you can generate more income.
Yeah, well, that's what we wanted to talk about, is what other solutions might be available if you don't necessarily have those private investors. So essentially family or friends with deeper pockets who might be able to help you out. And so Bettina and I have been brainstorming a few, and we've seen a few in our practices, and we thought we'd like to share that with other people who might be going through this situation, so that we can all start thinking creatively. So this situation is not a good one that we want to maybe prolong, but it is a situation we find ourselves in. So how can we work within it? So Bettina, you had one idea, and or you've seen one thing. So why don't you explain?
Well, some couples, first of all, let's start with a couple who says, well, you know what, we have a good house. We both like it. It has an upper and a lower level. We could, with a smaller investment, we could stay both in the house, and we have basically individual suites, right? It's like living in a small apartment building. You need to realize what that means for the long term. And I always encourage getting a proper agreement in place. That's something you would do, Laurel, to clear up the legal side of this, right? How this
So if you have a relatively amicable post-separation relationship with your spouse, and so most people, I can say, aren't in that, it's sort of, they need this separation. the physical separation from their spouse, but if they're, and a lot of couples I see are starting to consider, well, what if we both just lived in this, convert the house into 2 suites so that we can live separately, but we are still very close together. And the first thing you're going to want to think about is severing the joint tenancy. So when married or couples purchase a house together, they typically both go on title as joint tenants. And so the joint tenants are, if one of you dies, the other party survives and gets the entire house to them. So that's not something that after you're separated, you're going to want to have happen, typically. So what you want to do is sever that joint tenancy and go on title as tenants in common. So you each own 50% or whatever percentage of the property you decide on. And then if one of you were to die, your interest in the house will go to your beneficiaries in your will, or as per the Wills, Estate Succession Act.
And I had that arrangement for an older couple. They both knew that potentially one of them, she already had, signs of aging and potentially needs to move into another facility. So she would have her share of the house she could borrow against, right? So that is, that is one great example. Then other couples or individuals now, they say, you know what, I want to take over the house, but I need to generate my income to qualify for the mortgage. So they Airbnb out rooms, they get a foreign student and accommodate them, or they leave the house up for a few months in the summer, for example. They're on a beautiful island for rent on Airbnb and see where they could live. So there's all kinds of ways people can at least use the asset they work so hard for and generate income so they can hold on to it.
Yeah, so that is, I'm seeing a lot more of that with people after separation. Either if one spouse moves out, in order to keep the one spouse keeping the asset, they use it as an Airbnb rental in some way, which is, like you say, moving out in the summer, or renting out rooms, or converting, adding an additional suite onto the property if the zoning permits. Now, something to keep in mind though, if you're both going to stay in the house and just go on title as tenants in common, it would be really important to have an agreement, such as like a co-ownership agreement, how you're going to maintain the property and pay for expenses. So you're still going to be on the same mortgage. The mortgage is covering the one house. It's not 2 separate houses now. So you do have risk associated with continuing to co-own a property. Now, also another alternative, which some people, I think we might start seeing a little bit more of, is people purchasing property with friends.
Yes. And I think there should be an app for that, as there's so many families who look for a new home and they are simply not able to rent a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, whatever. I mean, in your place, those rents are like 3,000. Where it's probably a little bit under, but it's insane. People don't make that money often if you look at what else you need to meet month's end. And that is a great idea. I think there should be an app for people who just went through a divorce and now want to buy a place with someone so they can afford a roof above their head for an amount they can afford. Yeah.
Well, and just simply in order to like manage their monthly expenses. So sometimes it is cheaper to have a mortgage if you're sharing the cost of the mortgage with someone, rather than, and the reality is it's more stable. You're not going to be evicted. As long as you can have a good, stable relationship with whoever it is. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. Maybe it's better that it's not. But you do need to, what I would strongly recommend is, before you buy that property or commit to that relationship with someone, is get legal advice on what that would look like, and think through how you're going to manage expenses, and how are you going to make sure that both of you are able to keep on track with the property. And then, of course, what if one of you wants to sell and the other one doesn't? So you have to think about how that's going to play out.
And in such a contract, you can always built in some safety nets and mechanics. What if, you know, I mean, that's another relationship you're having, and same as the one you just left. It's always healthy to have that review. Like, let's say, okay, let's check in with each other every half year or a year. How is it going? What do we need to improve? Are you know, what is it? What I need to do to so you're not upset with me, those little things. And I think they would bring a lot of relationships, whether they're business related, personal, or co-owners of a home, just, you know, closer together and make the process and the relationship more smooth, I think.
Yes, having like explicit discussions about what are we going to do in this situation, etc. Certainly, that's
Right.
strongly recommended.
Yes. I would put that into the agreement, how to go about things, and what if we don't agree? What is our process? So you have mechanics in place, that if there's a bad day, that you can do that. But I heard, in a nutshell, from a lot of families or individuals that they're seeking out outside the box solutions because of the crazy housing market. It's
it's a terrible situation to find yourself in, certainly. Yeah. But I mean, I think with gas prices going up the way they are, like, this is not going to, we don't see an end in sight yet for housing prices. However, I think that if we can start being creative and think, as you say, outside the box, and come up with different solutions about how to make our housing, make ends meet with the housing prices, then we'll get through this tough patch. And
hopefully things will be better. Yeah, I mean, it's as I said in the beginning, it's heartbreaking. And it's good that people getting more flexible and see at the house as something they can work with and generate income.
All right, well, that's it from us for today. So thanks for watching, and we'll be with you again soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.